Adventure builder, adventure builder, adventure builder!
Alright, I'm pretty exhausted right now because I've been working on this thing. So I apologize if I don't form coherent sentences. I gotta get my hair off my head. Oh, that's better. So I'm working on this big project and just exerting all this energy, and I'm getting to the point where I can't even really think about what I'm doing because I'm just thinking about just using my muscles and stuff. And at that point in a project, it's very easy to quit, but I have this predetermined philosophy of, of life and how to behave and how to do things and how to deal with different situations, so that when I'm too tired to think, or when I'm not paying attention or whatever, I can still make the choices that I would make when I was thinking about it. So for instance, I'm carrying all these buckets of rocks, and I get to a point where I'm like, wow, my things are getting tired. Whew, this is hard. Maybe I should fill my buckets only halfway and make it easier. But then my virtue of strength reminds me that no. If I am physically able to lift the full buckets, do that. So I just keep doing that, and my courage keeps me going, and all this stuff. Like I have this set of virtues that I worship. Basically, they're aspects of myself which I worship, and then the opposites, like I've got strength as one of the virtues. The opposite of that would be weakness. I do whatever I can to diminish weakness by anytime I have a situation where I have a choice between strength and weakness. If I can do something where I use my physical body, or I can sit down on the couch and be lazy, I choose to go do the thing. And that keeps promoting strength, and it keeps diminishing weakness, and it just becomes a habit. So that's what's really important about having a philosophy in life. It helps a person to develop the habits that they want to get them the life they want. So when I have time to think about it, I can ponder all these different virtues that I came up with once when I thought about it a lot, and I can think about the ways that they apply to my life and make my life better, and then when I don't have enough energy or time to think about it or whatever, I can just trust that when I was in the right frame of mind, I made the right decision. So I always tell the truth, for example. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. If something comes up where I have an option to lie or tell the truth, I just tell the truth. I don't have to waste time with that other option because I've already predetermined that that's no good. Now, another reason that it's really important to have a life philosophy of your own that you've thought about. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you created entirely yourself or something. It just has to be something that you agree with when you have time to think about it. So it's really important to have it, because if you don't have your own internal philosophy, someone else will give you one. And that's what advertising and propaganda is all about. So, advertisements try to get you to buy things you don't want or need all the time, and everyone knows this. And if you already have predetermined ways to make good decisions, you won't fall prey to marketing tricks that get you to buy some terrible food that's gonna make you fat and feel terrible or whatever. And then it's not just in advertisements. It's in things like TV shows. All these different sitcoms. A lot of people think that TV shows are on the air because they get good ratings. Well, some shows with good ratings still go off the air because advertisers don't like them, because they don't promote the right stuff. They don't promote the stuff that makes them money, basically. So, you end up with shows like Friends, where there are 6 people, they're all friends and laughing and happy all the time, and they all act like they have an IQ of like 4. And that's to, what's it called? It's to glamorize the idea of being stupid and making dumb decisions. Now you could say that you know, there are other shows like The Big Bang Theory, which is in a setting of you know, there's a bunch of scientists basically. It's in a setting of a little community of scientists, and they're not all scientists, but basically it's smart people. But most of the plot points and most of the plot directions are run by stupid decisions, and all the comedy is based on stupid decisions. So it's, yeah, it's in a setting, a general like background of intelligence, but everything that happens that means anything in the show is just dumb stuff. Maybe not everything, but overall. Now this isn't a problem if you already have your own philosophy and you just see the dumb stuff and say, oh, haha, that's dumb, and it just kind of flows through you and disappears. But if you don't have your own philosophy, you can very easily get sucked into the idea that this stuff that's being glamorized, this stuff, you know, this stupidity basically that's being shown and people are having fun doing it, yay, we're so stupid. It's very easy to start internalizing that and then repeating all the things that you hear on the shows, and then doing all the actions, and then just doing all the stupid stuff that does not work in real life like it does on a TV show that's written in an artificial setting, and it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of times people think that having a philosophy like that is something you don't really have to stick to. You know, you can just kind of do it once in a while, and it can be an exception. But here's the problem with that. Your own philosophy of life and behavior affects everything you do. Like all your little choices throughout the day, and all your little choices add up to either you know, a bunch of good stuff in the future or a bunch of bad stuff in the future. Now here's a super simple example. Say there's two different people. One person has a philosophy that promotes the kind of lifestyle they want, and the other person is kind of lazy, and they have a philosophy of kind of greed and you know, stupid happiness or something. So the person, so they both go to the store and they buy something for $3.50, $3.50. And they kind of keep, you know, a little mental note of how much they've spent. So, you know, they kind of keep track of how much money they spent during the day. Well, the person who has the life philosophy that, you know, is more honest and tries to keep them honest, and tries to arrange things so they'll have a better future, they'll round that $3.50 in their head up to $4 and say, okay, I spent about $4. And then the other person who always wants the kind of freebies and doesn't really want to do anything, just wants stuff, they'll kind of round it down to say, oh, I only spent $3. Yeah, and they'll just round it down and just not think about it. And then, you know, at the end of the day, they'll look in their wallet, and the person who's been rounding down the whole way, which is in their favor, will be like, oh wow, I still have $20 left. I thought I spent more than that. Excellent. Meanwhile, the person who's been rounding up to try to make themselves feel like they've been spending less when they've actually been spending more, they'll look in their wallet and be like, oh, I got nothing left. I only spent $20 and I had $40. Where did it all go? Well, it all went into your little roundings here and there a little bit. And that adds up, I mean, that can add up to something noticeable in a day. But when you think about a year, 5 years, 10 years, you know, the person who's been rounding down the whole time has like an extra $40,000 they didn't even know they had. You know, it's just like, wow, where'd all this come from? Great. And meanwhile, the person who's been rounding against themselves the whole time, just making little tiny decisions against themselves, you know, throughout the day, throughout the weeks and months, they'll be like $40,000 in debt and be like, how does this happen to me? How does this happen? I didn't spend all that money. And it's just, you know, it's two different philosophies of life, and it gets two drastically different results. Because when you're in debt, it's just stressful and difficult, and you're basically a slave. And when you have some savings, you know, you don't have to worry about the future as much, because no one's gonna come and throw you in jail for not paying your taxes. And I don't want to get into taxes. That's a whole other situation. But anyway, there's so many situations where this matters, where making tiny little decisions that people think are insignificant can drastically affect your life when they add up over the days and weeks and months and years. 'Cause like I'm 41. I think I'm 41, 2 or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm 40 something, and that's 40 something years of decisions. Now, if I've made a lot of little tiny decisions that are in my favor, all that added up over 40 years is huge. I mean, it gives me so much stuff that I can work with now. But if I keep shortchanging myself in all those decisions over 40 years, I mean, that can just devastate a person's life. So, I just wanted to explain why it's so important to have a life philosophy, and this is one of the reasons that I'm sharing the Adventure Builder Club philosophy, because it's really helped me in my life, and I totally encourage anyone else to internalize that and use that in your everyday decisions. And even if you don't want to use my philosophy, and I don't even consider it my philosophy, it's just a bunch of stuff I collected from, it's all stuff that was already out there. It's all old information. I mean, people have known about this stuff for a long time. I just kind of collected it into a cohesive thing that I could understand, and hopefully some other people could understand. But anyway, even if you don't want to use my philosophy, figure it out for yourself when you have time to think about it. And maybe write it down, or create some symbols or something, like stuff that reminds you to make the right decisions when you don't really have time to think about it. Because there's so many times when it doesn't seem like a bad decision is going to cause problems until a few days later, and repercussions start happening, or you start thinking about, oh no, now I lied to this person about this, that means I need to make 14 other lies to these people to cover it up. Oh no, and I'm gonna get caught, and then it becomes this huge thing. Whereas if you just stuck to telling the truth, it would all be nothing.